In a small Nigerian town, a beautiful orphan named Amara was forced to marry a crippled beggar. Little did her cruel stepmother know, she had just handed her over to one of the richest men in all of Africa. The beggar wasn't a beggar at all. He was a billionaire in disguise, searching for a wife with a pure heart. When the stepmother discovered the truth, she came running to beg for forgiveness. But what he told her left her speechless. Stay with us to find out how kindness turned rags into riches and how greed met its shocking end. This is a story you won't want to miss. In the heart of a peaceful Nigerian town, where the earth smelled of rain and red dust, lived a young orphan named Amara. She was as gentle and kind as the morning breeze, known for a quiet smile that could calm even the most troubled heart. Her parents had passed away when she was just a child, leaving her in the care of her father's second wife, Madame Crew, a woman whose heart was as hard and cold as a harmattan stone. From the first crow of the rooster until the crickets sang at night, Amara's life was an endless cycle of chores. She fetched water from the stream, cooked meals she was barely allowed to taste, and scrubbed floors that never seemed clean enough for her stepmother. One morning, as Amara was balancing a pot of water on her head, Madame Hiru's sharp voice cut through the air. "Lazy girl, you eat my food and sleep under my roof, yet you bring me no bride price. Look at your mates. All of them are married to rich men, while you are still here, wasting space and growing old." Amara simply bowed her head, her silence a shield against the storm of her stepmother's anger. She had learned long ago that words only added fuel to the fire. But one afternoon, her stepmother's insatiable greed found a new, wicked target. At the edge of the bustling village market, near the old gate, sat a beggar named Chike. His legs were twisted, his clothes were dusty rags, and he moved with a painful shuffle. Yet, when he spoke, his voice was low and filled with an unexpected kindness. Every day, on her way to fetch water, Amara would pass him. And every single day, she would secretly slip a piece of bread or a small portion of food into his outstretched bowl. Chike would look up, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Bless you, my child," he would say gratefully. "Remember, not all who walk tall are blessed, and not all who crawl are cursed." Amara would just smile, a genuine, warm smile, never realizing that she was being watched. One day, Madame Kiru saw this small act of kindness from a distance. She turned to her friend, a sneer twisting her lips. "Huh, look at that useless orphan, feeding a common beggar. Maybe she should marry him. Let's see how she enjoys a life of true poverty." A cruel and wicked plan began to form in her mind, a plan born from pure malice. Within a week, Madame Kiru shocked the entire village by announcing a wedding. Whispers spread like wildfire. "How could she do this?" one woman murmured. "Giving that poor orphan girl to a crippled beggar from the roadside?" But Madame Kiru's smile was wider and more triumphant than ever. "She should be grateful anyone wants her," she declared loudly for all to hear. "At least now she won't be eating my food for free." The night before the wedding, Amara wept until her eyes were dry, praying to the spirits of her parents for mercy, for a miracle. But the next morning, with a heavy heart, she obeyed. She stood beside Chike, the crippled beggar, her small frame trembling. As the simple ceremony concluded, she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else, "If this is my fate, I will endure it with grace." After the small, joyless wedding, Chike asked Amara to follow him to his home. He led her to a waiting carriage, a modest one, but a carriage nonetheless. They rode for hours, through dusty roads and past rolling green hills, traveling further and further until they reached the outskirts of a grand city. Then, something incredible happened. Before Amara's very eyes, the carriage stopped before a towering gate. Chike stepped out, and with a smooth, effortless motion, he stood up tall. Perfectly tall. Amara gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. You can walk?" she stammered, her eyes wide with disbelief. Chike turned to her, and for the first time, she saw the true power in his gaze. A warm, confident smile spread across his face. "Yes, Amara, I can walk, and so much more." He clapped his hands twice, a sharp, commanding sound. As if by magic, the massive gates swung open, revealing a breathtaking mansion behind them, its golden roofs shining brilliantly under the afternoon sun. A legion of servants in crisp uniforms ran forward, bowing deeply. "Welcome home, Chief. Welcome home, Madam." The crippled beggar was no beggar at all. He was Chief Chike, a reclusive billionaire known for his vast wealth and wisdom, a man who had disguised himself to walk among the common people, to test the hearts of those around him, to find a partner whose soul was as rich as his fortune. Back in the village, when the news finally reached Madame Kuru that the beggar's son-in-law she had scorned was in fact the wealthiest man in the region, she fainted dead away. Upon waking, she scrambled to the city, arriving at the mansion disheveled and frantic. She threw herself at Amara's feet, her face a mask of fake tears and regret. "My daughter, my dear, dear son-in-law," she wailed. "I was only testing you. I wanted to see if your love was true. Please, please forgive your foolish old mother." But Chief Chike only smiled, a calm, knowing smile that held no anger, only pity. "The gods have already judged your heart, madam," he said, his voice steady. "You cursed kindness, and in the end, that kindness has become your curse." As she turned to leave, defeated and humiliated, a sudden storm broke. A bolt of lightning struck the old, gnarled tree by the gate, the very spot where she once stood and mocked the poor. She shrieked and fell to the ground, trembling not from the rain, but from the chilling hand of karma. In her heart, Amara forgave her stepmother, but she never forgot the painful lesson she had been taught. In the years that followed, Amara and Chief Chike became known throughout the land as the couple of mercy. They used their immense wealth to build homes for orphans and schools for the forgotten, to feed the poor and heal the sick. They understood what it felt like to be overlooked, to feel the sting of pain when the world forgets your worth. And what of Madame Kuru? She lived out the rest of her days watching her stepdaughter's happiness from afar, a constant, bitter reminder of her own greed. Every day, she would whisper to herself the hard-earned truth: pride is blindness. And the poor you despise today may very well be your savior tomorrow. Every story is a heartbeat, a reminder that the greatest blessings often come wrapped in rags, and true wealth is not in what you have, but in the kindness you give. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales that connect the mind and soul. Until next time, walk with kindness.